Welcome to Avs Preseason, where I don't care if the Avs don't win. Avs lose to the Minnesota Wild 4-3. Look, this game was extremely messy. There was a lot of rust, there was a lot of sloppy play, there were a lot of unnecessary penalties. There are a lot of dudes that are probably not NHL players on both teams in this game, so expectations weren't all that much. But there were some recognizable names on both sides of the lineup too, and it was fun to finally have hockey back on my television. Outside of all of the silly penalties, the 5-on-5 stuff we did see, I thought the Avs played their systems pretty well overall. They dominated the game in shots, even if they didn't win the thing. And for guys that you're going to see in the NHL, I think there are a good number of positives to take from this for Colorado. That starts with the guys that are cast off from Dallas. They're the ones to get the Avs on the board first.
This play starts with Tufte on the forecheck. He manages to get in and just knock the puck loose just enough to cause a little bit of chaos. Once that happens, the Avs kind of jump on it. You have Oloffson coming in and pressuring as the second man in, and a loose puck gets free just enough for him to collect. He's actually looking to try and get this back to Tufte, I think, initially, but it takes a funny bounce, comes straight out to Kiviranta at the top of the circle, who uses the space he finds, and the dude has a pretty good shot, if nothing else, and he gets the Avs on the board.
I'm not sure if Kiviranta will be able to find a place in Colorado just because his play style doesn't really fit what the Avs need as a depth forward, but I would not be surprised if he gets picked up somewhere. As for Oloffson, I do expect him to make the Avs roster. I don't know if he'll be in the opening night lineup, but an injury or two down the line, I expect to see that guy playing games for Colorado. I also thought Annunen looked quite good in the first period. He's likely to play some games this year too, with it sounding like Frankie not going to be ready to go to start the season. The first period was actually the Avs' worst period by possession metrics, and they still did outshoot the Wild, so that's a positive. You get into the second period, and honestly, the major thing that cost the Avs this game was the penalties. The funny thing is, I think there are a lot of positives to take from the penalties. You saw both Miles Wood and Ross Colton do a lot of PKing and honestly look pretty darn good doing it. But when you give a team 8 power plays, they should score on a few of them, and they get their first one early in the second.
Pretty typical stuff to start off here. They're working around the outside on the power play, but you get right here, and the Avs actually defend this decently. It just kind of doesn't go their way. A puck is just going to trickle through to the slot, and Klerman is not taking the body. He's trying to defend with his stick. Because he doesn't defend the body and with the stick, when the puck trickles through, the man ends up uncovered in the high danger area. And when you get to this point, the puck coming through, you know what's going to happen.
Again, I'm not too worried about the actual score of this game. I'm more looking at individual players, and I do think the Avs were putting the effort in. Even some of those guys who know they have their NHL spot. A guy like Ross Colton was working hard all game long, doing a lot of good things, skating hard, skating honestly faster than everyone else on the ice between Colton and Wood. They were just flying all over the place, creating chaos. It's good to see some of that stuff start to come together this early. You get to the halfway mark of the game, the Avs swap out Annunen for Arvid Holm, their other AHL goaltender, and it's 1-1 heading into the third period. And that's where the goal scoring starts to pop off a little bit. Minnesota gets their first lead of the game to start off that scoring spree.
The initial part of this play is a bad turnover in the neutral zone from Colorado that leads to a 2-on-1, but Arvid Holm makes a great save to bail him out initially. But you can see right here, all 5 Avalanche players are just puck watching after the initial save from Holm. This is no one covering anybody on the ice and just staring at the puck. If you look at the back door, that guy is going to end up wide open in Sammy Walker, and he gets a pretty free goal on that back door.
Yeah, I've got some bad news for you. If you're one of those people that thinks the Avs have a big problem defending their own net front area, it's not going to get better this year. What does get better in this game, though, is that the Avs have an answer back.
Hockey is a simple game sometimes. You just go collect rebounds, you maintain puck possession, you go to the open spots on the ice, you throw the puck towards the net, and good things will happen. Now, this puck comes loose on the rebound, and Henry Bolby is the man in the right spot at the right time to chip in a backhand.
Bolby is a guy that is not even on a contract with the Avs. He's not someone you're going to see play in the NHL this season. He is potentially someone that could help the Colorado Eagles, though. He has a couple of solid years in the AHL under his belt, and if that's your thing, if you're a big Eagles fan, he's someone's name to write down. And then the penalties come back again on the Avs. Particularly, they come back on Sam Malinsky. He had 8 minutes of penalties in this game and took the penalties that Minnesota scored their third and fourth goals of the game on, and ultimately probably cost the Avs this game. 8 penalty minutes is definitely too much, but I'm not going to fault him that much for a first preseason game. There are a lot of other things he did on the ice that I thought were solid, but those penalties have to stop happening now if he wants to make Colorado going forward. The third goal was the one that was the real backbreaker for the Avs.
Avs lose the faceoff on this penalty kill, so this play doesn't happen if they win that faceoff, I guess. But the shot comes through from out high, and you can look at the Avs defense. What are they covering here? They're not covering any bodies on the ice. Klerman is eventually stepping out to take the guy on the half wall, so at least there's that. But Jack Johnson is just fully out of position. When this rebound comes out, he has no recourse to stop this puck from going directly into his own net. You just need better than that.
Look, I try not to be too negative in preseason, but Jack Johnson's job is literally to defend the front of the net. He's got to do a better job there. And then the fourth goal is just a desperation one that the Avs end up giving up because they're pushing forward too hard when they're on the penalty kill. So the game is over at that point, but there is one more bright spot to talk about. While it ultimately is a meaningless goal, on an individual level, it could matter.
The Avs are resetting in the neutral zone here, and they find Riley Tufte, who finds a ton of space to walk into as Minnesota overloaded the far side for no apparent reason. So he uses the space effectively, gets all the way to the top of the circle, and the kid's got a pretty good shot. He makes it count here and adds a feather to his cap.
It's a nice shot from Riley Tufte, another Dallas castoff. I thought that line of the 3 Dallas castoffs really did play pretty well together, and all 3 of those guys are kind of competing for those forward spots. For me right now, Oloffson is the guy with the inside track there because he has the NHL experience. He understands how to play a bottom 6 role. But if Tufte or Kiviranta can find a little bit more physicality, find how to be hard to play against on a fourth line, they could see time there too. And look, more goal scoring is always a good thing if you're Tufte or Kiviranta. And that is the end of preseason game 1. A pretty interesting group of guys. Again, the NHLers looked fairly good for the most part, and some guys may have earned at least second looks, if not bigger opportunities with the Avs. We'll end the video there. Thank you for watching. Head on over to the DNVR for all of our coverage. I am Rudo, and we're still like 3 weeks away from games that matter, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.